Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Nam Nguyen. We warmly welcome the Royal Australian Navy Sea Power Centre and the accompanying international delegation. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors and students on behalf of St Mary's School from Malvern East, Victoria. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please be seated if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Sidney William Joseph Hawkes. Sidney Hawkes was born in Ayr, Queensland, on the 26th of July, 1918, the son of Sidney and Mary Hawkes. Growing up in Ayr, the centre of a sugarcane growing region south of Townsville, Hawkes probably attended Ayr State School and was likely involved in working in the sugarcane industry. Sidney Hawkes enlisted for service in the militia at Ayr on the 1st of February 1940 at the age of 21. After 90 days of training at Townsville, Private Hawke joined A Company of the 31st Battalion. With Japan's entry into the war, Hawke and other members of the battalion were called up for full-time duty in late December 1941. As part of the 11th Brigade, they were allocated to the defence of northern Queensland. During this time, the men were engaged with improving camp infrastructure, building defences and training. In May, Hawke became sick with dengue and was evacuated to a hospital in Cairns. After a lengthy period of rest and recuperation, he returned to service. In 1942, the men of the 11th Brigade undertook amphibious warfare training in anticipation of deploying to Merauke on the south coast of Dutch New Guinea. There, they would provide a garrison to defend the area from Japanese attack. In deploying to Merauke, it became the only militia formation to deploy outside Australian territory during the war. Established in late 1942, by July 1943, Merauke Force had expanded to around 4,200 personnel, including 3,500 ground troops. Hawke joined Merauke Force in May, by which point Number 72 Wing and Numbers 86 and 12 Squadrons had also arrived at Merauke, and a radar station was also established at the time. They would be joined by groups from the 2nd, 3rd Machine Gun Battalion, the 31st, 51st Infantry, and the 26th Battalion. Merauke Force spent a good amount of its time conducting exercises, including some that involved the Merauke River, a strong tidal river affected heavily by the monsoonal climate. On the 9th of December 1943, Private Sidney Hawkes died as a result of a drowning accident while on duty. A court of inquiry found that no negligence or misconduct was involved. While Merauke Force would be disbanded at the end of the war, having never seen combat, Sidney Hawkes would not return. He was 25 years old. Today, his remains lie in Townsville War Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Sidney William Joseph Hawkes, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor their years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continuing support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.